Good fucking morning, you beautiful people. How are you feeling? How's your day so far? Good? Hope so. Well, today we just crushed a fucking leg day. Hip thrusts are back on the fucking menu. I have a flat ass and I'm trying to fix that. So, that's the goal. But anyways, today I want to talk about aggressive diets, aggressive deficits, how to do them, if you should do them, what are the downsides, what are the upsides, all that shit. First off, what is an aggressive deficit? I consider an aggressive deficit anything over 1,000 anything more than 1,000 calories under your maintenance. So if you're doing like 500 calories, that's pretty average deficit. But if you're at 1,000, 1,300, something like that, you're in an aggressive deficit. I'm doing one right now. My maintenance is about 2,800 to 3,000, and I'm eating anywhere from 1,400 to 1,800 calories a day. It depends on how hungry I am and how many steps I get. So pretty aggressive, but I don't like dieting, so I don't like to do it for very often. And I've done this a lot, so I know what I'm doing, and I've done normal deficits first. The first thing is if you're thinking about doing an aggressive deficit, if you're overweight, don't. If you've never done a deficit before, you should not do an aggressive deficit to start. You need to learn how to deficit, how to cut correctly. You need to just get familiar with the process, learn your body a little bit so that you can go in and out of this thing quickly. Because that's the mentality that you should have with an aggressive deficit, is get in, get out. You don't want to be in this for a long period of time. The longer you're in it, the higher your risk of losing lean tissue. And that's exactly what we don't want to do, right? You don't want to, spend all this time at maintenance or maybe even slightly above building muscle and then fucking lose it all when you diet. Like that doesn't make any fucking sense. So we don't want to lose lean tissue, so we don't want to do this for too long. So if you have a lot of fat to lose, it's not a good idea to do an aggressive deficit, at least not to stay in one. It might be able to start with an aggressive deficit. That's normally what I like to do, but not as aggressive. So start with a pretty aggressive diet deficit when you have a lot of fat, so you have a lot of energy to burn through, so you're not gonna feel like shit. Like if you try to do it in reverse order of starting slow and then ramping it up, you're gonna feel that shit at the end. Because when you start off, you have a lot of extra energy on your body that it can pull from, and you'll feel good. But towards the end, you will feel like shit. So who should do them? People who have deficited, people who have been in a diet before, people who are, probably anywhere from 15 to 20% body fat. If you're over 20, just stick with a regular deficit. You're gonna be fine. You're probably gonna still be building muscle throughout the whole thing, and the weight will come off. It just might be a little bit slower than you wanted it to, but hey, you got to over 20% of your own doing. So anyways, how do you do one? Well, I already touched on the fact that it needs to be about 1,000 calories or more under your maintenance. And this is also why, if you've never done a diet before, why you shouldn't do it. Because if you don't know what the fuck your maintenance is, how the hell are you gonna do 1,000 calories under it? So that's the first thing, is go 1,000, maybe a little bit more under your maintenance, and just kind of let it rip. Keep your protein high as fuck. The steeper the deficit, the more likely you are to lose lean mass. So we want to do everything in our power not to. You want to keep your training sessions hard as fuck. Try to motivate yourself as much as you fucking can. You're probably going to have to abuse caffeine for a little bit, and that's okay, because you need to somehow keep that motivation recruitment high. Because towards the end, I promise you will feel like shit and you will not want to train. You'll wake up in the morning and you won't want to do anything. When you're reaching weeks 4 to 6, and that's about as long as I would ever recommend someone to be in that aggressive of a deficit. is 4 to 6 weeks, especially like if you're natural. If you're enhanced, like you could probably go longer than that. But if you're natural, 4 to 6 weeks of an aggressive deficit is going to cook your ass. And trust me, I've done it. And so yeah, and by the end you literally feel like shit. You don't want to do anything. Your brain, like, you can barely fucking think. You don't want to go to the gym. You sure as shit don't want to do your cardio. Now, that brings me to my next point. Cardio. So you set your calories. You're at 1,000, maybe 12 or 1,300 under your maintenance, depending on how high your maintenance is and how crazy you're willing to go. You set your protein high. I'm talking at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. Normally, I suggest doing anywhere from like 0.8 to a gram, but like 0.8 minimum, a gram maximum for maintenance. But when you're in a deficit, specifically an aggressive one, you need to have higher protein just as a safety net. We're not trying to lose muscle here. So, and it's also going to keep you fuller. So, you know, there's no downside to having more protein during an aggressive deficit. So set it at anywhere from like 1 to even 1.5 grams per pound if you're really feeling frisky and if you're really afraid of losing mass. So, and then the rest of your calories, dump them into carbs. Dump them into carbs, because you will feel like shit and you need energy. But your body is in a huge energy deficit, so you need carbs. Dump all of your calories into carbs and try to keep your fats as low as possible. A lot of people say not to go under 20%. Honestly, I'm not a big proponent of that. I think you can go down to even like 15%. Obviously not for a long period of time, but this is an aggressive deficit. We're only in this for a month, maybe 6 weeks, and then after that, you're probably gonna take at least a week at maintenance, or just to give your body a fucking break. And then you can reassess and see if you wanna go into a less aggressive deficit, or if you just wanna ride it out at maintenance for a little bit. So, with your fats, 15% is definitely as low as I would go, or 0.33, so like a third of your body weight in fats. But honestly, you can test it out with yourself. Run a little bit of an experiment. You know, if you're at 0.33 grams per pound, so a third of your body weight, and you feel amazing, but you're kind of like, or you feel like you need a little bit more energy, then fuck it, you know, slash your fat a little bit and put a little bit more into carbs. Now, for your carbs, you want to be having majority of your carbs. You already want to be having a lot of carbs pre-workout, but the max you can really have is like about 90 to 100 grams. Like if you're doing your pre-workout meal of an hour before your workout. So, because you can only digest them so fast. So, I would say try to shove as much of your carbs pre-workout. If you have 90 or 100 grams to use, put them all pre-workout, because we need that training session to be fueled. And I would also say to save some carbs for intro workout. I would not cut my intro workout. I don't cut my intro workout when I'm in an aggressive deficit. I have like 20 to 25 grams of cluster dextrin during every workout. We have enough mouth rinsing data at this point to really show that you should have it, especially if your sessions are longer than 45 minutes, which most people are, I would say. If they're at or above 45 minutes, you might as well have some intra-workout carbs. It also reduces CNS fatigue, so keep your intro workout. Like I said, at the end of the day, we're just trying to keep performance as high as possible. So you have your carbs, you have your fats. For your pre-workout meal, I like doing a 3-to-1. So 2/3 of your carbs, you know, let's use 90 as an example. So you have 90 grams of carbs pre-workout. 60 of them should be coming from a form of glucose. So cream of rice, cream of wheat, oats, something along those lines. And you don't need to have protein in your pre-workout meal. I normally do. I literally do half a scoop of protein powder because the amount of carbs that I'm trying to be full throughout the rest of the day. So if I dump a whole scoop in there, that protein could be used somewhere else to fill me up throughout the rest of the day. So I do a half a scoop, and I do frozen blackberries. Blackberries are one of the most micronutrient dense fruits that you can have. Behind kiwis, they're literally the best. So I do frozen blackberries with oats or cream of rice, depending on how I'm feeling. Oats are a lot cheaper, so that's why I normally do oats. They also have a higher fiber content. And you want to keep your fiber high always. Fiber is more filling and just good for you, good for your heart health. It reduces all-cause mortality. So you want to keep your fiber high. Anyways, I'm rambling. Fucking 60 grams glucose, cream of rice, cream of wheat, oats, however the fuck you gotta get it. And then 30 grams of fructose. So I like doing frozen blackberries. You could do blueberries, raspberries, kiwis, whatever the fuck you want for some fructose. You don't need sucrose, just go with fructose and glucose at that 3-to-1 ratio. So 2/3 of it should be glucose, 1/3 should be fructose. That's your pre-workout meal. That pretty much covers nutrition, how you should be eating. Oh, micronutrients. I almost missed this. Speaking of blackberries and kiwis, you need to keep your micronutrients high as fuck throughout this. You're eating like no food. And so you're already gonna feel like shit, but you're gonna feel even more like shit if you don't eat enough micronutrients. So everything you eat should have a purpose. It should have a lot of micronutrients in it. I'm talking sweet potatoes, kiwis, blackberries, for vegetables, spinach, bok choy. You wanna have a ton of vegetables. They're gonna keep you full, and there's really like no calories in them. Like, one of my favorite things is just getting a fucking bag of stir-fry blend vegetables and throwing them in a pan with some fucking, I'll just do like chicken breast or chicken tenderloin, and then dump that into a bowl, and then throw on like 80 grams of spinach and 80 grams of lettuce, because the combined, like, the vegetables combined add like 100 calories, but it literally fills up the fucking bowl. And it adds a ton of micronutrients. So vegetables are not only going to be your best friend in terms of nutrient density, but they're also just going to be your best friend in terms of keeping you full. And that's what the goal is here. Because you are going to be highly restricted. If you're eating super, super low fat, there's not a lot that you can eat. Red meat is almost off the fucking table. Like, you can do, like, if you got it like that, you could do fillets, maybe filet mignon, tenderloin all the time. But even sirloins are going to be pushing it, you know. And 97.3 ground beef is, you might be able to do that. But for the most part, you're going to be eating chicken. You're going to be eating white fish, tuna, egg whites, things that are super low fat and basically just protein powder. I have a creamy every night. If you don't have a Ninja Creamy, fucking get one. What are you doing? But they're $200. Shut up. Just buy it. Just fucking buy it. Make the investment. I literally have one every single night when I'm cutting. It is the fucking best. And it's so much volume. Like, if I was just to have a protein shake at the end of the night, I would probably hate my life. But the fact that I get to sit there and have a fucking massive pint of fucking ice cream every night, yeah, cutting, I literally look forward to that. It's one of my favorite meals. That and my pre-workout meal, those are my two favorite meals. So yeah, keep your micronutrients super high. Take a multivitamin. Take omega-3s. I almost missed this, but since your fats are so low, you need to be taking omega-3s. Those are the most important fats that you can have. You're not going to be able to eat fucking salmon. I'll tell you that right now. You're not going to be able to eat salmon, at least not enough to get enough omega-3s in. And you're probably not going to be eating any eggs. So supplement your omega-3s. take a multivitamin, use caffeine. So let's see, what have we talked about? Who should do them, how you should do them. Cardio, the last thing that I will touch on. You don't need to do cardio. Yeah, it will help. It'll make the deficit bigger, for sure. If you are gonna do cardio, I would say go with incline walking, swimming, rowing, or elliptical. You want something that is going to be mostly concentric based, so that's where swimming, rowing, and elliptical come in. There's no eccentric, so like no landing phase, no footfalls. That's why incline walking is going to be better than flat walking, because the footfall is just shorter and you can also burn more calories that way. But at the end of the day, you don't need it, especially if you're in such a steep deficit. Use minimum effective dose. Basically, as little cardio as you can do, because as this deficit tapers, which it will, so after your 4 to 6 weeks when this is over, and then you're going into a more mild deficit, that's when I would say start peppering in more cardio. I would more so be focused on your NEAT throughout this, with non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is like fidgeting, this is fucking cleaning, walking around, just bouncing your leg at your chair. Things like your body will naturally, subconsciously, so even if you think, oh, I walk around enough, no, you fucking don't. Your body will naturally try to make you move less. So you need to consciously always be trying to increase your NEAT. Stand up more, walk around, pace. Like if I'm answering client messages or just reading my fucking finance newsletter that I do every morning, I'm walking back and forth, I'm just pacing in my kitchen. I'm like a crazy person, but I'm getting my steps in. I'm purposely trying to always be moving in some fashion, because I know that when I'm not thinking about it, my body is trying to conserve as much energy as possible. Your body will fight you through any fat loss phase. It wants to maintain homeostasis. It thinks you're dying. So, especially if you're in an aggressive deficit, it thinks you're really fucking dying. So it's going to fight you. So you have to fight back consciously. And so with cardio, I always say you can do it. It'll make the deficit bigger, but you might, like, you probably already don't feel that good. So I would keep it low damage, because your atrophy rates are going to be higher in a deficit just in general. The more aggressive, the worse it's going to be. And you are, yeah, so just fucking do a little bit of cardio, maybe pepper it in. I just like to keep my steps high. That's what I do. I'll just go for walks. I ordered a walking pad so that I can bump my steps more. I do like 10 to 15K right now, but I want to bump it to like 20 to 25. That's a lot of fucking walking, but it's because each 10,000 steps burns like 500 calories. So basically, the more steps I do, the more I can eat, or the steeper the deficit I can be in. And I need a walking pad for that, because that's like 3 hours of walking, and I'm not fucking doing that outside. It's hot as shit in Austin all the time. Like, especially, I'm from Wyoming, dude. This is cooking me. It is getting cooler though, so that's nice. But yeah, I'll walk like normally an hour outside, but the rest of it is inside. And yeah, just keep your steps high, or you can do cardio, whatever fucking floats your boat, man. Whatever you like the most. I think next video, I'm probably going to touch on how to reverse that, how to come out of a deficit, especially an aggressive one, man. If you don't have a plan for how to come out of a deficit, like the chances are you will put all the weight back on. That's why a lot of people say diets don't work, because there's a lot of literature that shows that they don't, that people regain the weight. But that's because they don't have a plan for how they're going to do it. So that wraps up the video for today. Hope y'all enjoyed. Fucking have a great one.